in to college football full circle right here on SportsGrid. Scott Wetzel, Jo Madden taking over the next hour as we preview and review the college football bowl season as we get to the nitty-gritty. Yes, we had all the smaller bowls, and we've had some blowouts, couple of close games. We've had brawls. We've had plenty of opt-outs. But now we get to the games where, seemingly more players will be playing, including our two semifinal games, Michigan, Alabama, and then Texas and Washington State. Joining me over the next hour, Jo Madden. What's going on, Joe? How's the college football bowl season been treating you so far?
Well, my Buckeyes not being able to get the win versus Missouri yesterday was a dagger in the heart. I tell you, people calling for Ryan Day's head. Is it time, Scott? Ryan Day goes from Ohio? I don't know. It's that was a hard one. What about you?
Yeah, that's I tell you what, as much success as he's had, boy, you fire a guy like that who's you can count on one hand how many losses he's had. That's tough. You go find a coach who wants to hop into that bandwagon, right? I mean, I know he's lost 3 straight down to Michigan, but and then, the game against Missouri, who really cares? Anyone really care if they win or lose that bowl game? So that's a tough spot. I've actually had some success. I got to tell you, we lost our best bet yesterday. Who'd we have? We had Wyoming. They won the game laying 3.5, and they only win by 1. And they had the ball deep inside Toledo territory. I thought they would score the touchdown and win by 6, but they ended up kicking a field goal and winning by 1. But other than that, we're 4-1 with the best bets. We've had some success with some of the other plays. Haven't gone crazy this year because the games are so difficult to figure out who's playing, who's not playing. We've seen some games this year where the quarterback who's played barely a lick played great. And then we've seen other games where the quarterback who hasn't played a lick, Joe, just stink out the joint and be an embarrassment. So it's anybody's guess, how these games are going to come out. That's why hopefully on New Year's Day we get a few more players that we're familiar with that are playing, and hopefully we get more, games that should go the way they're supposed to go. So, but overall, not too bad. Heard Kirby Smart yesterday crying about how things need to change, this, that, what have you. It's not going to change. The only way it's going to change is if they add, as I've said, more playoff teams. And I do think this is going to happen. I've said this all this week. I think within the next year or two, the playoff is going to go from 12 teams to 24. And that's the only way you're going to keep all these kids to still play. You're going to incorporate all the other bowls who now are complete outsiders. It doesn't go from 4 to 12. It goes from 4 to 24. And I think that'll solve a lot of the issues.
I completely agree. And do you think the committee got it right, though, after looking at what happened yesterday with Georgia and FSU?
Kind of hard to say no now, right? I mean, yeah. I hear Florida State people say, well, if they were playing in the national championship, these guys wouldn't opt out. Maybe, but maybe not. There's going to come a time where these agents are going to get with these players and say, listen, you're going to be a number 1 draft choice. What are you doing? It's great you're playing for a national championship, but, do you want to make a gazillion dollars in the NFL, or do you want to risk that all by playing in 13, 14, 15 now football games? So, listen, they had a chance to make a statement, Florida State, and they failed miserably. So I'm not crying any tears for them. So let's talk about some of the games that are going to happen on New Year's Day. We'll start at the top. Why not? First of 2 semifinals, we got 13-0 Michigan taking on 12-1 Alabama. Michigan, 1.5, 2-point favorite, depending on where you do your shopping. Over-under, again, right around 44. It's the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. It's a 5 o'clock game. That's the first of the 2. Michigan, embarrassing for the most part. Iowa 26-0 in the Big Ten championship game to advance. Alabama knocking off Georgia in a more competitive 27-24 SEC championship game to advance. Against the spread, Alabama 8-4 this year. Michigan only 7-5-1. Alabama's 6-1 all time in these conference semifinal games. Michigan 0-2. They haven't won a national championship since 1997. And it's kind of, 2 pretty good defenses. Alabama likes to throw the football, I think, a little bit more than Michigan. J.J. McCarthy versus Jalen Milroe. Nothing earth-shattering here, but whichever quarterback, Joe, I think plays better will, be the winning team. I like Alabama in the game. What about you?
Ooh, we're already going to be on opposite sides here. I'm going Michigan. I really do believe this season is Michigan against the world. And remember, I'm a Buckeyes fan, so it's taken a lot for me to get here. But I look at both of these teams, and you're right, both great defenses here and both really solid offenses as well and elite coaching. But what it comes down to for me in this one is I look at Michigan's ability to run the ball on Alabama. Alabama is allowing opponents to rush for 124.5 rushing yards per game. And while Bama's going to run the ball as well, you look at Michigan's defense. They're holding opponents to 87.1 rushing yards. I think they're going to win this game by locking down Alabama, not allowing them to run as much as they want and forcing Milroe to throw that ball more often. So give me Michigan. I think they win this one, Scott. We're on opposite pages again.
Yeah, that's okay. Listen, I don't have a great feel for this one like I do the second one. This is part me kind of rooting Alabama on. I can't root for, not that I'm a big Nicky Quick fan, as a Dolphin fan, left us high and dry, but I can't root for Harbaugh. And not only is he a cheater, he's a liar. To sit there and tell the nation that he had no idea where this guy was getting his information from. I mean, come on. Really? You're the head coach, and you're telling me a guy is figuring out other teams' signals, and you're not asking him where he got that information from? So I don't like being lied to. Don't treat me like an idiot. I'm not stupid. You're lying to me. I don't know why people don't challenge him on that, so I can't root for him. They can't lose big enough as far as I'm concerned. I like J.J. McCarthy. I like Blake Corum. McCarthy completing 70+% of his passes. Great touchdown to interception ratio, 19-4. Same thing with Milroe. I'm siding more, though, with Alabama just because of the competition they face versus the competition Michigan faced out of the Big Ten and their ridiculously easy non-conference schedule. All the numbers, listen, we could throw out 1,000 numbers, and we will. One of them is Michigan's defeated all but 3 of their 13 opponents by at least 24 points, which is amazing. But then again, you look at their schedule, Joe, and it was really a joke. I mean, even in the Big Ten championship game. So give me the pedigree and everything else that Alabama has. That's why I'm going with Bama. And I'll go with Milroe over McCarthy.
Okay. Any thoughts on that total? 44.5. I still think with elite defenses here, these offenses are so strong. I could see it just squeaking over that total. I think we finished right at 45-46, Scott.
Yeah, it's a close one. I like the under in the SEC championship game with Georgia, and it went over. So at 44.5, I'm thinking this will be the one that goes under. But I'm going to go over. It's tough to go under 44.5 in a college football game. It does smell of an under, 24-20 under, 21-17 under. But I'm going to go with the over in this. All right, college football. We'll certainly continue.
But the big thing with Scotty Barnes is 38.3% from three. That has been a really improvement of Scotty Barnes, to which I think with 9.3 rebounds and 5.9 assists, 1.4 steals, or 1.4 blocks, to me, he has now become the face of the franchise.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I'm laying the 14.5. And against the number as an underdog this year, meaning when they cover, they went out by beat.
There's a very real chance that this Michigan season is the best chance they will have.
Oh, Rocky Top, Tennessee.
So, am I just a side better now?
I'm right here on Saturday on College Football Today. It's bowl season, baby.
college football today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
One of the first states to legalize sports betting, and finally, quietly, legalizing the online portion, and that, of course, is Delaware.
Delaware offered parlay cards through their lottery for years, and the local retailers didn't want to lose that money. They didn't want to lose the guys that were coming in to fill out those parlay cards, and they're buying some beef jerky and chips on the way out of the store as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Fantasy sports today.
They were saying there's no way he could not possibly do this. He won't hold out.
Pro League Soccer powered by Marca.
Scoring teams in the league. They have 80 goals so far.
College football today.
The Hawks team total in the first half is 0.5.
Pro football today.
Interesting props in this game, but I would be cautious laying this number here with the Houston Texans.
In-game live all access.
The NFC in terms of these wild cards and in terms of the playoff picture.
In-game live, prime time.
Rich, I don't know, man. This has just been one of those games that doesn't make a lick of sense.
In-game live, overtime.
You want to give you over 3-1 on a pretty good team. It's hard not to take some flyers.
Football full circle.
Well, NFL officials stink. They always will stink, and they'll always ruin the game. That's just part of what it is.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. It is College Football Full Circle as we prep for the New Year's Day game. Scott Wetzel along with Jo Madden here, breaking it all down. We talked Michigan and Alabama. Joe sided with Michigan. I'm siding with Alabama. Let's go to the second one here, Joe. We got Texas laying 4.5 again, depending on where and when you do your shopping, against Washington. Over, under. It's the Sugar Bowl, right around 63. Same thing in the Superdome down in New Orleans. Second game, they're saying kickoff right around 8:45 or so Eastern time, obviously depending on how long the first game takes. We got the first appearance for Texas in the college football playoff. Their only loss this year, 12-1, came to Oklahoma. Their best win, probably the best win out of any team, quite frankly, in the nation. Beating Alabama, and not only beating Alabama on the road, but beating Alabama on the road by double digits, 10 points. That's tough to overcome as far as the best win. They blew out Oklahoma State in the Big 12 championship game, 49-21. It wasn't even that close, believe it or not. Washington's best win came against Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game. Second time they beat the Ducks. Both wins by a total of 6 points combined. They were both close games, but give the Huskies credit because they ran the gauntlet. Undefeated season, 13-0, and I didn't think anybody would be able to do that in the Pac-12. They beat a lot of good football teams, and they escaped without any losses. Interestingly enough, head coach Steve Sarkisian was the offensive coordinator with Alabama when they won the national championship a couple of years ago. So while the team hasn't been in the college football playoff, the head coach has. So that might kind of ease things a little bit for the Longhorns. No Jonathan Brooks. He's out with a torn ACL for Texas, one of their better running backs. They will have their best wide receivers. Quinn Ewers, we talked about him, how great he is. 71% completion percentage, which is just amazing. 3,100 yards, 21 touchdown passes, only 6 interceptions. He ran for 5 more scores. And then, of course, we got Michael Penix Jr., should have been Heisman Trophy winner. He was the runner-up, but that's for another day, I suppose. You got big-time wide receivers. I like Washington in the game. For whatever reason, the Pac-12 and this Washington team has been underappreciated, I'll say. They win a lot of games close. They don't blow teams out, but that's because the competition is good. You want to give me over 4 points, 4.5 points? I'll take that. I think the Huskies beat Texas outright.
I love where you're going with this, and I'm double dipping on both sides with this game, Scott. I'm looking at Texas to come out strong in that first half. We know this team comes out really strong in the first half, can put those points up on the board, and I think they do in this one. But I think Washington will be able to find its way to get back in it and actually pull off the win, like you're saying. I love Washington money line, and then Texas first half laying the 2.5. When we look at the secondary here of Texas, it gives me concerns at the end of this game. This is where teams have been able to come back, put some more points on them. So I do think two sides of this one that I'm dipping into, but I think both of these bets can cash. Washington, it will be the weight of the world on their shoulders to come back in the second half, but I have so much faith in Penix Jr. here to come out and have a really strong game. Ewers on the other side, he's going to be phenomenal, but I do think the majority of Texas's points come in that first half, Scott.
All right, that's not bad. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game as well. I like both overs. You know, the first one more so just because it's such a low number. This one's not a low number, but we've seen these semifinals have a lot of points. I think this is going to be a competitive game. I don't expect a blowout, but I do see some points being scored. So I'd rather be on the side of the over than kind of root for less points. All right, so you have Michigan. I have Alabama advancing. We both seemingly have Washington advancing. So who do you like in the national championship? I'll give you the odds. Michigan right now, +2-1. No value there whatsoever, but Alabama +220, Texas +250, and Washington a whopping +650 to win the national champion. Again, just no respect for this Huskies team, which has yet to be beaten this year. I will gladly take Washington +650 to win it all.
I hear you. The value all on Washington at +650. I think that's definitely where your money should go. I do think Michigan has the opportunity of winning it, though. So I would put a little bit of money on both of those teams because I think both will advance to it, and then keep my fingers crossed that you get the more value with Washington. But that's going to be a hard matchup if they make it through and take on Michigan. Because like I said, I really do feel like it's Michigan against the world right now.
You know, it's interesting. FanDuel, Joe, offers, I like when they use a little imagination. I might not bet it, but I do appreciate them trying. They offer each team, Alabama, Michigan, Texas, and Washington, to win the national championship, and you just take them to win it all. Or they also offer you the field versus Michigan, Alabama, Texas, or Washington. For example, we said Michigan is +2-1. You want to bet Michigan to win it all? You can grab them right now. Or you could bet the field, which means you have Alabama, Texas, and Washington at -240. Alabama is +220 to win it all, or you could take the field at +280. Texas is +250 to win it all, or the field is +3-1. And then Washington is +650 to win it all, as we said, and the field is -850. I don't know if I would do any of that just because it's a little pricey, but it is kind of interesting. You know, if I could do one, it would be, Texas. I would take the field at -3-1 because I don't think Texas has beaten Washington, let alone Alabama or Michigan. What do you think about those plays?
I like them, but you're having to lay a lot of juice on them. I hear you, though. I think Texas has the least opportunity of getting past Washington. I think this is going to be a really hard game for them here. I think they come out so strong, but this team in that third, fourth quarter, I think Washington, with their ability to get that ball moving with Penix Jr., is just going to be too much for the secondary of Texas. So I like that bet, Texas or the field, a lot better than any of those other ones. I just can't get there with them.
Yeah. They also offer you the exact outcome, meaning Alabama's going to beat Texas for the national championship, or Washington's going to beat Michigan for the national championship. And they give you, obviously, odds on that one. The way I have it set up, I think Washington's going to beat Alabama for the national championship. I can grab that at 13-1. Who do you think's going to win it all? And then you say it's going to be Washington and Michigan, right? So who's winning out of those two teams? Washington?
It's going to be really hard, but I do think Michigan gets past Washington. I just look at this team defensively, and I think they'll be able to lock them down. So what's the odds on that?
550. Not great.
Okay. I want more.
Yeah.
Not great at all.
At least my 13-1 is pretty, that's 13-1. That's not too bad, right? But 550, just out of curiosity's sake. So you would obviously need Michigan, right, to beat Alabama, and you would need Washington to beat Texas. That parlay alone pays plus 350. So I don't know how big a favorite Michigan would be. I'm assuming they would over Washington, but you might be better off just betting them separately, versus my 13-1, where I think I'm getting better odds at 13-1 than I would be betting those things separately. And again, sometimes, it's probably right around close to plus 550, but it doesn't seem like it's not great money, like my 13-1.
Yeah, definitely not the value that I would want to get behind that bet at all. So I'm with you. It's going to be crazy to see who gets through, but I definitely think Washington has every ability. And then Michigan, man, it's Michigan against the world, Scott. I can't get past that. I really do think they have every opportunity of taking it all.
Not too many times the world loses, I'll tell you that. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we got some props for both of these games, and then we'll look at the other New Year's Day games right here. College football, full circle on SportsGrid.
But the big thing with Scotty Barnes is 38.3% from three. That has been a really improvement of Scotty Barnes, to which I think with 9.3 rebounds and 5.9 assists, 1.4 steals, or 1.4 blocks, to me, he has now become the face of the franchise.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
I'm laying the 14.5. And against the number as an underdog this year, meaning when they cover, they win outright.
There's a very real chance that this Michigan season is the best chance they will have.
Oh, Rocky Top, Tennessee.
So, am I just a side better now?
I'm right here on Saturday on College Football Today. It's bowl season, baby.
College football today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
56% is really good. Anything close to 60 is retirement level stuff. So there's way more people on the lower side of that. You have to learn how to manage that. This is a game of give and take. Or come in quick and hit them and get out.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
It was Brock Purdy as a hefty odds-on favorite, nearing $2 ahead of the marquee matchup on Christmas night out in Santa Clara between the 49ers and the Ravens.
Lamar Jackson, I know everybody says Christian McCaffrey, he does everything. It sets the offense up and all that. All of it's true. But Lamar Jackson sets the football team up, not just the offense, everybody.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
World's okay. I got 28.5. Woo!
How about UnnecessarySweat.com?
I'm proud to be an American. Oh, God.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. It is College Football Full Circle right here on the grid. Scott Wetzel and Jo Madden breaking down the New Year's Day games. We'll get to all the other games. We got some props here to get to with the 2 semifinal games, Joe. But, every once in a while, the boys in Vegas impress me. They really, really do. Sometimes you wonder, where do they come up with these numbers? Obviously, they don't just throw them out there on a whim, right? There's got to be some calculations. So I told you they gave you the odds on what it would be for Michigan to beat Washington, right, for the national championship. They give you all the possible scenarios. And Michigan over Washington pays $5.50. So I said, all right, so obviously you think Washington and Michigan are going to get to the Final Four. So let's put Michigan in a moneyline parlay against Alabama, and we'll put Washington in a moneyline parlay with that, same thing against Texas. And then we'll figure out what Michigan would be favored by, and they give you those odds. They give you future odds. Michigan would be a minus 220 favorite money line over Washington. So we got Michigan over Alabama money line. We got Washington over Texas money line. And then I found a soccer game that's a minus 220 favorite. And well, actually 230, to be honest. I couldn't find a 220, but very similar, right? That three-team parlay pays $5.50. It's identical to what it would be if you bet Michigan over Washington. You get no extra value. You get no extra thrill. It's the same exact thing as if you bet those games separately. How crazy is that, huh?
Wow, I'm shocked by that, Scott. I really am, especially when you're putting such big favorites into that. I can't believe you're only getting that. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I can't believe they actually got it right. That's what I can't believe, that they actually, dead on. Again, you think they pull these numbers out of a hat, but they do the calculations, and they figure out what, that parlay would pay in order for it to come out, and that's how they come up with it. Amazing. So, all right, so we got the 2 semifinal games. You like Michigan. I like Alabama. Both on Washington. How about a little prop action for these games? FanDuel offers some props. I'll go first, I suppose, on the Michigan game. I do like Michigan plus the 1.5. 2 props kind of stand out for me. Yeah, goofy props, but I like them, Joe. How about a rushing touchdown in each quarter? Now, that doesn't mean from each team, just each quarter. Michigan loves to run the football. Alabama can run or throw, but I have no qualms about, Michigan maybe kind of carrying the load here and maybe getting one out of Alabama. That pays a nice fat 7-1. And again, it's not a running touchdown from each team. Only one each quarter, or one or more each quarter. That's, hate this phrase, but that's pretty good value. I like that. I like that a lot. And then the other one in this game, I like each team to score a touchdown and a field goal in each half. Can be any kind of touchdown, pass or run. A field goal, obviously, doesn't matter what distance it is. I think we're going to get some points. I don't expect this thing to be 35-30, but I do think we're going to get some points. Asking 10 points out of each team, each half is not a lot. For me, 23-1 you see there. Again, pretty good value in my book. So those are the 2 that I kind of like, Michigan, Alabama. What about you in this game?
That's great value there. And I'm going to have to tail you on those because I do think they're coming in. And what I'm going to do in this one, I know I like Michigan and I think Michigan can get the win. But when I look at the quarterbacks here, I can't look past Jalen Milroe and what I think he's going to be able to do in this game. I love his ability to use his legs, and I do think he can go over his rushing yards. And I also think he can get that anytime touchdown on the board. He has 12 rushing touchdowns on the season, and you can take him for an anytime touchdown in this one, coming in at plus 112, and I love it. That rushing yards coming in at 32.5, and we look at him, he's averaging 39 rushing yards per game on the season, and I know Michigan's going to come out so strong against that run. But when you look at these mobile quarterbacks, it's so hard for these defenses to be able to defend against them without trying to get, the targeting call coming out here on these quarterbacks. So I love his ability against a strong run run defense to be able to rush the ball himself. So give me Jalen Monroe rushing yards over 32.5 and the anytime rushing touchdown for him at plus 112, Scott.
All right. I like that. I like that a lot. Next game, Texas-Washington. I got two. First one, one touchdown pass to be scored in each quarter. Doesn't pay a lot, but more than what I thought it would be. I got to tell you, I think they're off on this. Plus 410. Again, either team, you don't need both, either team to throw a touchdown pass. We know Washington with Penix Jr. loves to throw. Ewers for Texas, certainly, they like to throw as well. I'll go so far as to say I don't know how this one doesn't win, to tell you the truth. I mean, you got an over-under of 62, 63, 64. The whole world's expecting some points. Both teams love to throw. Both got quarterbacks that can run and throw. A touchdown pass in each quarter at plus 410? I would think that should be like pick 'em, to tell you the truth. Sign me up on that one. And then the other one is each team to have a touchdown pass and a touchdown run each half. Now, that's a little more difficult. I get that. But again, we got a high-scoring game theoretically. I'm not worried about the pass, which is why I like that other one. The run, but Penix Jr. or Ewers running for a touchdown, that counts as a rushing touchdown. So that pays a nice fat, as you see there, 20-1. Just need a couple of shekels to win nice numbers on that one. So each team to score, touchdown pass, and a TD run each half, 20-1. I like those two. What about you?
I love them. I really do think this is a higher scoring game. I was looking at, 42-34 here for Washington. So where you're going with your props really do correlate where I'm going with mine as well. I'm looking at both of the quarterbacks, thinking both of these quarterbacks are going to come out strong. Looking at Quinn Ewers here, I expect him to be able to get that rushing touchdown, to use his legs in this game, to take him for that rushing touchdown. He's coming in right around that plus 240 mark, and he's been so phenomenally strong at using his legs and getting things done. And then turning to Michael Penix Jr., I do think the passing game comes in big for him in this one. I'm looking at him over the 2.5 passing touchdowns. We're getting him for over the 2.5 passing touchdowns at plus 144. It's not as much value as I wanted, Scott, but I can't see him throwing under 3 touchdowns in this game. He's so phenomenally strong with his arms. And I think these two quarterbacks battle it out. I see the touchdowns coming. Quinn Ewers with his legs and Penix with his arms, throwing at least 2.5.
Yeah, I like that. I definitely like that. I think what happened, and I don't want them to change it, but they generally offer these things in the NFL games, the Sunday night games, the Monday night games, the Thursday night games. And at least here in New York, they generally don't offer this stuff, my numbers anyway, for the college football stuff. So they're basing, I think, these numbers on the NFL games, which is tough to do. But these games with Joe with over-unders in the 60s, I think the chances are pretty good. You hit yours, and I hit mine. I really do. If we get the high, crazy scoring game, competitive game, I see no reason why we don't get touchdown runs and passes from your guys. We don't have. It's funny. New York doesn't offer individual props, but they'll offer these goofy team props for some reason. Go figure, right? So hopefully we both hit them all. So we get a nice, entertaining game. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that we're on the same page with this game as well, with Texas and Washington. So it'll be a high-scoring one. That one kicking off tomorrow. Tomorrow. I can't believe tomorrow's already New Year's Day, 8:45 Eastern. So nice late game.
Crazy. Yeah. All right, we got a few other games going on New Year's Day. Fiesta Bowl, New Year's Day. We got 11-2 Oregon, ranked 8th in the country, taking on number 23 Liberty, 13-0. Oh, that's right. Florida State wasn't the only 13-0 team that got the snub. How about that? Oregon laying 17.5, as you see there, depending on when you do your shopping. Over under a 67.5. Yikes. I kind of like Liberty in this game. I do, as far as the motivation factor is concerned. Oregon, this is a classic. You think Oregon's all excited about playing Liberty? New Year's Day, okay, but Liberty, no offense, Liberty. So the Flames, to me, have all the momentum, won the Conference USA Championship, beat New Mexico State, first appearance at a New Year's Day 6 Bowl. They got everything to prove. Bo Nix is set to play, believe it or not, surprisingly enough for Oregon, threw for over 4,100 yards, responsible for 46 touchdowns this year, running and throwing. Caden Salter, pretty good though. Group 5 Player of the Year for Liberty. He's not going to take a backseat to anybody. Threw for over 3,800 yards. He was part of 43 touchdowns for Liberty. Obviously, different type of schedule. Liberty number 1 in rushing offense, 303 yards per game. Whereas Oregon is obviously pretty good throwing the football with Bo Nix. So there are only 2 losses against Washington. I'm going to go with Liberty taking the 17.5, Joe, to keep this thing close.
Yeah, I like Liberty plus the 17.5, but I also like this one to the over. I think Bo Nix does have success throwing that ball. I'm taking him over his 315.5 passing yards in this one. My only concern with Oregon here is that their top center is out, Johnson, and also the wide receiver, Troy Franklin, here for Bo Nix. But I do think he will find success, and this game nicely goes over that total, but Liberty keeps it tight. So we're on the same page with this one, Scott.
Yeah, and I love betting against teams who lost their center. That is a key spot. It really is. Liberty also led the nation in interceptions. Nix only had 3. That'll be an interesting matchup. We'll look at the other bowls when we come back. College football full circle.
But the big thing with Scotty Barnes is 38.3% from 3. That has been a really improvement of Scotty Barnes, to which I think with 9.3 rebounds and 5.9 assists, 1.4 steals, and 1.4 blocks, to me, he has now become the face of the franchise.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I'm laying the 14.5. And against the number as an underdog this year, meaning when they cover, they went out by beat.
There's a very real chance that this Michigan season is the best chance they will have.
Oh, Rocky Top, Tennessee.
Am I just a side better now?
I'm right here on Saturday on College Football Today. It's bowl season, baby.
College football today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
One of the first states to legalize sports betting, and finally, quietly, legalizing the online portion. And that, of course, is Delaware.
Delaware offered parlay cards through their lottery for years. And the local retailers didn't want to lose that money. They didn't want to lose the guys that were coming in to fill out those parlay cards. And, they're buying some beef jerky and chips on the way out of the store as well.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. Fantasy sports today.
They were saying there's no way he could not possibly do this. He won't hold out.
Pro League Soccer powered by Marca.
Scoring teams in the league. They have 80 goals so far.
College football today.
The Hawks team total in the first half is 0.5.
Pro football today.
Interesting props in this game, but I would be cautious laying this number here with the Houston Texans.
In-game live all access.
The NFC in terms of these wild cards and in terms of the playoff.
In-game live, prime time.
Rich, I don't know, man. This has just been one of those games that doesn't make a lick of sense.
In-game live, overtime.
You want to give you over 3-1 on a pretty good team. It's hard not to take some flyers.
Football full circle.
Well, NFL officials stink. They always will stink, and they'll always ruin the game. That's just part of what it is.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
welcome back. It is College Football Full Circle as we run down the New Year's Day bowl game. Scott Wetzel and Jo Madden. We touched on the Final Four games. Let's run down some of the others. We'll continue along here. Joe, we got LSU versus Wisconsin, Raymond James Stadium, noon Eastern time. This will kick off our New Year's Day 5 bowl bonanza. Really, I don't know what Wisconsin's doing in a New Year's Day bowl. I really, it's amazing. Some of these teams that could have been there, without knowing the rules and regulations and drafting teams, but it is what it is. No Jalen Daniels, unfortunately, for LSU. They're still a monster favorite, laying 8.5 there. You see over under 56.5. Kind of like it's LSU's offense versus Wisconsin's defense. Wisconsin will have two of their better wide receivers playing. That's good. Garrett Nussmeier, he played a little bit last year, so he's not completely, off the charts. LSU's big thing is winning 10 games. They're 9-3. Every team, every coach is looking for some angle. That's the angle that Wisconsin or that the LSU has. Badgers are only 7-5. Like I said, they're lucky they got in a bowl, let alone a New Year's Day bowl. Their offense is awful, but their defense is pretty good. Allows less than 19 points a game. Top 20, giving up only 4.8 yards a game. Allowed only 193 yards per game, again, all on defense. But again, they're playing in the Big Ten, which really was not very good this year. LSU, you have all these numbers, but without, Jalen Daniels, it doesn't really matter. Led the offense, led the nation in passing, led the SEC in passing and rushing. They did run for over 200 yards a game on the ground, so I think LSU ends up winning this one, even with Nussmeier quarterback and not Daniels, just because Wisconsin is so bad. Both their key running backs opted out. Their center opted out as well. Give me LSU. I'll lay 9.5, even 10 if it goes up to 10 by New Year's Day.
Oh, you're going to go with the double digits there. I'm going to look at the total in this one, Scott. I do think, yes, Wisconsin offensively has had those struggles, but I do think we're going to see their defense really stepping up in this one and get some points on the board. I think they're going to get those turnovers on LSU. And then I think we look at Wisconsin, how bad they have been offensively, but LSU, can I really trust their defense? I can't. So 56.5, it's a little bit higher than I wanted it, but I'm going to take this one to the over, expecting both of these teams to be able to put up some points in this game. It's a scary situation taking the over, especially without Jalen Daniels out there on the field, but I do think LSU will do enough on the offensive side of the ball to help us push this one over that total.
Yeah, I would go with it too. LSU's defense is bad, generally speaking, so that'll kind of compensate for Wisconsin, which, by the way, 11 touchdown passes for Wisconsin all year in 12 games. I mean, LSU literally gets that in a game and a half, but they got to be good for 17, I would think. And I think LSU is still good for, 30, 40 plus. So LSU to me would be a good team to put in a 3-team or 2-team tease. You drop that 8.5 down to 2.5. I don't think they're losing this football game. I'll take LSU. Next one, Iowa versus Tennessee. Citrus Bowl kicks off at 1 o'clock Eastern time. Joe Milton not playing for Tennessee. They got a freshman who completed or attempted only 26 passes this year. Iowa's defense, the story, 4th in the nation, only 13 points a game, 5th in total defense, less than 275 yards allowed per game. Their offense is anemic. Somehow or another, who knows how, but they won 10 games this year with that offense, allowing 16 points or fewer in 11 of its 13 games, 1 touchdown or less in 10 of their 13 games. So give me, I'll take Tennessee, and I really got the under as my main play, under 35.5 in this one.
I'm with you. This under 35.5 is the best way to go in this game, but I'm going to be crazy enough to look at Iowa here. I'm grabbing them plus the points, but I'm also going to sprinkle on the money line. I just look at Tennessee and I struggle to see this team being able to put up the points against the defense here of Iowa. And if this defense can get a turnover, a pick six in this game and keep them alive, I think they really will. So Iowa, plus the points, sprinkle money line, the under 35.5, though, Scott, it's the best bet in this one. This is going to be, 10-6 style game? I don't see more points coming than that.
I wouldn't think so. Iowa doesn't have a player with 30 receptions this year or 300 yards receiving. I mean, that in 12 games, nobody has 30 receptions or even 300 yards. I mean, how can an offense be that bad? And then again, go 10-3. I mean, Kirk Ferentz might be the coach of the year while his son, the offensive coordinator, might be, the worst coach. He's getting fired or asked to leave, however you want to describe it, at the end of the season. I mean, it's just mind-boggling, the lack of offense. You wouldn't think a college team could be that bad and that successful, but somehow or another, Iowa pulled the trick. I got this into my Mark Lawrence contest, Joe. I'm all over the under. It's a major, major play. I'm afraid 10 out of the 13 games that Iowa's played has led less than 36.5 points, or 35.5 points. So let's hope this is 10-7, but something tells me it's going to be like 35-30.
It can't be. There's no way. I can't see it happening in this one. You've got all of Iowa's starters as well playing. There's no one opting out of this game for Iowa. This team is coming, and their defense is what's going to control this game. Special teams has been hugely impactful for them as well. So defense, special teams, control it, keep it low scoring. I can't see it going over 35.5. I would take an alternate number to that under, Scott. Like I said, I really do feel like this is a 10-6 game. Tennessee, 2 field goals, touchdown and a field goal somehow by Iowa. I think it comes with the defensive touchdown, though. I don't think it's their offense putting up that touchdown. Like you said, this offense has struggled all season. They're only averaging that 16.6 points per game.
Yeah, and that's against a bad Big Ten schedule. So let's hope so. How about a couple of games from Saturday? Let's start with the debacle. Georgia annihilating Florida State 63-3. Yikes. I'm flipping the channels. Yeah, I see it's 14-3. I saw Florida State kick a field goal. They had it deep inside the Georgia territory. I was like, okay, I was okay with that. Keep it a competitive game. And then, boom, 5 minutes later, Georgia scored 4 touchdowns, and all of a sudden it was 42-3 at the half, ball game over. You felt bad for Florida State. Georgia didn't try and run up the score, although they did throw for their last touchdown, but a backup was in there. Kirby Smart after the game saying college football is broke. He, in essence, said he felt sorry for Florida State, but it is what it is. I blame Florida State. If you can't keep your kids around, then don't go to the bowl game. It is what it is. So 63-3, Georgia showed that they're the best playoff team out there for sure.
Yeah, you look at FSU coming out here, and this team had no heart going into this game. They were devastated with what the committee did, leaving them out after just that perfect season. So all the players opting out here, I understand why they opted out. It really was a smack in the face for this team to do so well in the season. But like you said, Georgia came out and showed why FSU didn't deserve to be there. Even though those players were opting out, you would expect the players who hit the field to be able to do more than just put up that field goal, Scott. So it wasn't a great game. It was hard to watch, that's for sure.
Yeah. I often wondered why. I give them credit for not doing it, but we've seen some crazy things, right? Aaron Rodgers telling the world after 2 months he's coming back from blowing out his Achilles, right? I wondered why Florida State didn't say, Jordan Travis with his broken leg, it's only a fracture. He might be able to come back by the time we play this semifinal game in January. They didn't do that, so it just automatically eliminated them. But, they could have pretended like, he is coming back, maybe. So, put us in there. But they decided not to do that. To their credit, like I said. But I just wonder if they did, would they have bought into that and put them in there? I don't think so. I don't think they were making it regardless. I thought the moment Alabama beat Georgia, they were not going to get in. They were going to get excluded because you had to put Texas in the Final Four since Texas beat Alabama at Alabama, as we talked about before. And Alabama had to get in. They were the champs of the SEC. So you could not put Michigan in. You could not put Washington in. They're undefeated. So, there was no way Florida State was getting in the moment Alabama won. I'm convinced of that.
No, there wasn't. And I really would have liked to have seen what would have happened in this game yesterday if SSU's starters would have come out and played in this one. Do you think it would have been tighter, or do you think we would have seen Georgia still blow them out of the water, Scott? Because I'm on the fence. I really don't know which way this game would have gone if we had everyone from SSU playing in this game.
Yeah, I listen. Without the quarterback Travis, I don't think it wouldn't have been 63-3. But I don't think it would have been competitive. I think 30-10, 37-10. Defensively, they lost a lot of guys. They'd probably add on, like I said, another touchdown or two. But ultimately, they wouldn't have been able to keep up with the backup quarterback. He wasn't any good. He was the third stringer. Can't blame him, but he was third stringer. Georgia's defense was too good, and they had a point to prove. So competitive more so than what it was, but really competitive, nah, I don't think so. I really don't. Ole Miss beat Penn State 38-25. Good win for Lane Kiffin and company. Well, I tell you what, Joe, if Ohio State fans are asking for Ryan Day's head, then what do you think Penn State fans are thinking about for James Franklin, who showed again he just can't beat. He's the Miami Dolphins of the college football world. He can't beat good teams. He just, this was a winnable game. They were favorites coming in. Jackson Dart threw the ball all over the place, nearly 400 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, basically led from start to finish. Held on and ended up winning by 13. It was like a 13-point game. It wasn't a complete blowout, but it was Mississippi in control.
Yeah, they absolutely controlled this game, and watching it, it was from the very start of this one. You watched Ole Miss. They seemed to move the ball with ease, and every time Penn State got the ball, you saw those mistakes coming in and those errors out there. So that first quarter, we saw Ole Miss get up 10-3. It was like the writing was on the wall from that very first quarter that they were going to come out and win it. They just looked so dominant over Penn State. And I was shocked because I expected a lot more out of Penn State in that one. Ole Miss getting the win 38-25. Higher scoring than I thought as well, Scott, because I did think Penn State's defense would show up just a little bit more.
Yeah, just a little, right? But they didn't.
Yep.
Maryland blew out Auburn using backup quarterbacks. No Tua Tagovailoa's brother. Another example of, sometimes these quarterbacks play good. The other ones don't. Who knows why some do, some don't. But Maryland up to a 21-0 lead, and then they win going away 31-13. Wasn't really competitive. Auburn scored a late touchdown to make it 31-13, but otherwise it was all Terps. Good win for the Turtles.
Yeah, absolutely. Great win for them there, getting that one 31-13. I expected a little bit more out of Auburn, a little bit more of a tighter game, but Maryland showed it from the very start. Like you said, 21 points in that first quarter. They took their foot off the gas a little bit at the end there, but yeah, the writing was done.
Yeah. So Maryland finished the season 8-5. Auburn, Hugh Freeze, first year, only 6-7. All right, quick little break. We'll come back. We'll talk about a couple of others and final touches on college football. We'll see.
With Brock Purdy as a hefty odds-on favorite, nearing $2 ahead of the marquee matchup on Christmas night out in Santa Clara between the 49ers and the Ravens.
Lamar Jackson, I know everybody says Christian McCaffrey, he does everything, it sets the offense up and all of it's true. But Lamar Jackson sets the football team up, not just the offense, everybody.
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
56% is really good. Anything close to 60 is retirement level stuff. So there's way more people on the lower side of that. You have to learn how to manage that. This is a game of give and take. Or come in quick and hit them and get out.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
One of the first states to legalize sports betting, and finally, quietly, legalizing the online portion. And that, of course, is Delaware.
Delaware offered parlay cards through their lottery for years. And the local retailers didn't want to lose that money. They didn't want to lose the guys that were coming in to fill out those parlay cards, and they're buying some beef jerky and chips on the way out of the store as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I'm laying the 14.5. And against the number as an underdog this year, meaning when they cover, they went out by beat.
There's a very real chance that this Michigan season is the best chance they will have.
Oh, Rocky Top, Tennessee.
Am I just a side better now?
I'm right here on Saturday on College Football Today. It's bowl season, baby.
College Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy
The early line.
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterback,
Pharrell,
backup quarterback.
coast to coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time decisions.
I have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live.
Just
Prime
took them
time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the fourth inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was
Late
good betting.
Night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid
We
for
did.
information. Didn't like the 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Hi, and welcome back to football, college football full circle. Scott Wetzel and Jo Madden breaking down the New Year's Day games, touching back on some of the other ones. So we got 5 games on New Year's Day. We broke them all down, Joe. Even though it's the semifinals, you don't necessarily have to bet those if we have other bets. So give me 1 or 2, and I'll give you my 1 or 2 as well. Give me 1 or 2 best bets you have for New Year's Day.
Okay, best bets, I think Iowa plus the 5.5. I love them sprinkled on the money line as well. I think they have every opportunity of pulling off the win versus Tennessee. And then I have to look at Texas versus Washington. I really do think Washington has every opportunity of winning it. I can't get past them on the money line, coming in at plus 152. I think you put a little bit on them plus the 4.5 at minus 115. You're not laying too much juice, but I do think it's Washington's game there, and they'll be able to get the win. So those are my best bets. Scott, what are yours?
I gotta go, believe it or not, with Alabama. I'd be surprised. I got Nicky Quick. I got the pedigree. I got the experience, and I got goofy John Harbaugh, the cheaters on the other side. And I know they've lost 2 straight in the semifinals, but give me Alabama. Big Ten this year has been so overrated, as it generally is. Want to give me Alabama and basically pick them in a big-time game. I will take that. I'm tired of us against the world, that theme with Michigan. That only goes so far. So that one, and then I hate to put the black cloud on myself, but I do like the under 35.5, Wisconsin, or Iowa and Tennessee. You know, Tennessee with a backup quarterback. I don't know how this is going to hit 36 points. So my biggest surprise would be, I suppose, Liberty knocking off Oregon. What's your biggest surprise if something crazy happened tomorrow?
You know what? I think it would have to be that as well. I think Oregon gets a win, but Liberty gets the cover if they were able to come out and win that one outright. But without Oregon center in there, maybe it's not the biggest surprise out there if that happens.
Yeah, that would be something. That would be something. College football, full circle, wrapping up shop here on the Grid. Good luck, folks.